Fantasy season never dies. Welcome to Every Day is Draft Day. Presented by Champions Round.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the latest episode of Every Day is Draft Day. I'm Dan Turner. Joining me, as always, after she has survived Las Vegas, Steffi Smalls. What's up, Steph?
Not much. I'm nursing this voice. I'm very happy to be back on Every Day is Draft Day, home from Vegas, alive.
Alive, yes. That's the most important thing, that you're alive. That's really all that matters. So today, since the NFL draft and free agency is more or less over, we're going to be sharing our opinions on a couple of players that are either going to be dynasty buys or dynasty sells based on what's happened in free agency and the draft. So as always, I will go first because Steph hates going first.
I hate you
hate it. All right. So the first player I'm going to talk about is as a dynasty buy. Is Zach Wilson. I think that Zach Wilson is probably one of the biggest winners of the draft / free agency. The Jets completely helped his offense. They got some offensive linemen in the draft. They signed a couple. They drafted Garrett Wilson. They drafted Breece Hall. So he has, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Braxton Berrios. So he has a really deep receiving core, as well as now a bona fide bell cow running back, along an improved offensive line. So, Zach Wilson is still going for really, really cheap because it is still the Jets, and people are really hesitant to trust anything about the Jets. But I really want the guy that is going to be throwing to all these awesome weapons, especially at his price point. So I'm definitely going to go and get him wherever I can. In fact, I just traded for him in one of my dynasty leagues just yesterday. So I think that he's going to, I think that the second year in the system, I think, he's not a rookie anymore. They improved his offense in every facet. And, he also has an improved defense. So hopefully the defense can make some stops. He's going to get on the field more opportunities. So all in all, I think that he's a situation upgraded in every possible way. So I'm going to take the cheap price he's going to be going in drafts and picking him up everywhere I can.
Yeah, I can even just piggyback off it because mine is also going to be a second-year quarterback who, quote-unquote, struggled, but also is not in a great situation. So I think especially with the second-year quarterbacks, this is a great time to take advantage of them. He's going into the next season before, there's any increase in their value, because if they're able to even improve enough, they're going to be more expensive next year. It's pretty simple. Don't overcomplicate it. So mine is Trevor Lawrence. No Urban Meyer. Not that without Urban Meyer, does that mean that he's 100% going to take a massive leap? I think because it is the Jaguars, but I think they've done enough. Bring Doug Peterson in. He was, obviously a part of even Carson Wentz's second year over there on the Eagles. Regardless of how your feelings are on Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, they're getting back ETN. The offensive line is better, and he should improve next year. I think he only finished about QB 22, so I expect he could very easily finish QB 15. If he doesn't have to take much of a leap to probably do that, and now he has the weapons to do so. And I think he's worth the buy at this moment. And I used to not be as in on taking these second-year guys, but the last couple of years, I try to find them because I think this is when you see that leap. And after the next year, you're not going to get them any cheaper.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Absolutely. I think, buying the dips on these second-year guys that have much improved situations after that is definitely a great play, especially in, super flex leagues where, anyone's hunting a quarterback wherever they can get it. So if you can get one of those guys that, people maybe aren't as high on and still, haven't noticed that they've gotten much better situations and get them cheap, absolutely go do that.
And you've got Trevor Lawrence, who he is athletic enough to contribute on the ground as well, which is something that obviously we always love the mobile guys, and he is a little bit more mobile than your average. So him and Zach Wilson are both. It's so funny because last year I was so out on them, and now I have been trading for both.
He roped you back in.
Yes, he has. What do you got next?
For my second dynasty buy, I'm going the rookie route.
Okay.
Someone else taken in the second round of this year's draft. I'm going to go with Christian Watson. I was a big Christian Watson fan, before the draft, and his landing spot has even made me an even greater fan than I already was. Basically, his only realistic, path to targets is being blocked by Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Sammy Watkins. So really, there is no blockage to his path. I mean, he can start right now opposite Lazard and give two like really big receivers for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. And I know that Rodgers is hesitant to trust rookies for the most part, but at this point, he has to throw to somebody. So I really expect, Watson. People say that Watson's raw, and he's from a smaller school and didn't face elite competition, but I think he has the measurables to really grow into his role there. And where you're getting him in rookie drafts, from where I've seen, is a back half of the last 1 or 2 picks in the first into the second round. I think he has one of the best landing spots of all the rookie receivers. So I'm definitely banking on that for him to be a really good dynasty receiver for years to come. Even depending on what happens to Aaron Rodgers, I think once Rodgers leaves in a couple of years, Watson will be, will have learned enough to be a standout receiver in his own right, no matter who's throwing him the ball.
Yeah, and it really doesn't take much for these receivers to for their value to just get inflated. It's only going to take a couple good games for you to not be able to get him again at that price. Like I think I just drafted him at the 205 or something.
It's crazy.
Recently, and to me, I agree with you. I think that all the raw talent is there, and even if he doesn't have this amazing, spectacular year, I think among the rookies, he's in the best position to still have a very good rookie season. And I think that can only get better for him. And that's where he can start working on those raw, the rawness that everyone talks about, which yes, it is there, but he is that athletic, absolute athletic specimen that you want. And I think that having Rodgers, as long as he can not be super bratty about it. But again, there's not really that much competition there. And there's an argument for Lazard, but I think moving forward, Watson, couldn't have landed somewhere better.
Right. Even if he has like a Devonta Smith career. Devonta Smith had 60.
But people forget about Devonta Smith.
900 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he was a top 30 receiver. Like you said, it doesn't take a lot to be good.
Right.
So
exactly. My next one's an interesting one. I'll see what you think about it. This is going to be because we saw how crazy everything went with running backs last season. It was the running back plague, and I'm all in on now. Finding these backup running backs that, for this guy in particular, he's only 23. He'll be 24 when the season starts, and he probably will end up on another team eventually. So it's actually Alexander Madison. He finished RB38 this year, not anything that we're super excited about. He also did better than a lot of guys that people were drafting much higher than him too. But he has such consistent production every single year, even with a slight increase, even to his fantasy points per game. This is something I found interesting when I went to look back at the games that Dalvin didn't play this year. He wasn't on the field. I think he missed 4 games. So in those, Madison finished RB7, RB6, RB8, and RB13. Madison definitely has the skill set to go, even if he ends up on another team, I think to be very successful. And I think he's also a great guy, that you can get for cheap, that you can have on your bench. So if someone does go down and you don't necessarily have the handcuff, or you can put Madison in, especially a week that Dalvin isn't there. So I actually have been trying to get Madison, and he's kind of like an extra piece that you can throw onto a trade. Can you throw Madison in as well? But I like the just the consistency that I know I'm going to get from him, and the potential there to go to another team, because I don't know that they're going to pay both of them over there. And they also, they have Penny. They also drafted another running back. So if we're going to look for one of those just kind of sleeper guys that you can get that's still young and will give you some solid weeks, I think Madison's a great call.
Yeah. Oh, and a lot of people are going to have him on the rosters anyway because he's Cook's handcuff right now. So if he goes to another situation, you don't even have to draft him or trade for him again. Most people will already be, on your roster. So yeah, that's a guy that I think deserves, to quote unquote start somewhere else and not just be a pure handcuff. I think he definitely has the talent necessary to surprise a couple of people, and he's really cheap now as well. So that's a good one by you. That's something I didn't think about.
Yeah, it's when I try to not do the classic ones that everyone has been talking about.
I like it. All right, so now for our sells, we got a couple sells each. I'm going to start with my first sell is Ryan Tannehill. not helping Malik Willis aside, and that was blown up for no real reason. He doesn't have AJ Brown anymore. The last 5 games without AJ Brown, he only has 2 touchdowns. He only threw for over 300 yards once, so he hasn't been that great. And he had 3 interceptions in those last 5 games without AJ Brown. I know they drafted Treylon Burks, but he is a rookie. It's tough to expect him to just slot right in there and be AJ Brown, even though that's what a lot of people are saying. Derrick Henry isn't getting any younger. We all love Derrick Henry, but he will hit the wall at some point, like every running back does. After Burks, the wide receiver depth chart is pretty thin. He has Robert Woods coming back. What Robert Woods are we going to be getting? At 30 years old, coming off with a major injury, it's going to be, the Rams Robert Woods, or has he lost a step at this point? So he's a big question mark. And we had Nick Westbrook Kenny, so he's solid, but he's just a solid receiver. There's nothing, he's not going to wow anybody. So it's they did sign Austin Hooper, so he's a solid tight end. They're just with AJ Brown being gone, and with Willis clearly being the future of the franchise, I just don't see Ryan Tannehill getting that top 15 QB that he was last year.
Yeah, it's so sad, but I do think I think he's hit his peak as far as fantasy goes. I think we got our best Tannehill years. He might have another solid year, but again, you want to sell before the window closes entirely. And who knows if Malik ends up coming in at some point next year and taking that job. And obviously they did draft him. I don't know that they're going to look to pay him either, because we see the type of quarterbacks that are getting, the bag. And I don't know that Tannehill falls into that category of let's pay Tannehill the bag sort of situation.
Right. Yeah, if you're not going to pay AJ Brown, then you surely aren't going to pay Tannehill either.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they might be looking. We'll see what the Titans look like at the end of next year and what they are moving forward, because I think they're creeping on that. We might have to totally set ourselves into a rebuild. So I think that's a good call. I think Tannehill after this year, you can probably still get a couple suckers to pay you a little more. Mine is my beloved Evan Ingram. He has found his way off of the abysmal, disgusting Giants, where he's going to be on the Jaguars. Whether that means that he's going to pull it together, what they're going to do with him is beyond me. I'm sure he will have a better season, but what it comes down to is he's going to be 28 when the season starts. He has not had a top 12 finish since his rookie year when he finished as tight end 5. He's just been kind of on the downswing since then. And I don't know if that was entirely the Giants' fault, because he was very highly targeted. He was very highly involved in that offense. So I think now you can get some people who, if they're kind of tight end light, you might be in a situation where you can sell him. And yeah, I think I'm good on Evan Ingram.
I know it seemed like there were certain points last year where he was the only healthy body catching the ball in the Giants offense, and he still couldn't take full advantage of that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one. I know that hurts a little bit, but that's a good one. So for my last sell, I'm going to go with everyone's favorite, rookie darling from last year. It's Rondale Moore. The Cardinals traded for Hollywood Brown. They drafted Trey McBride. Kyler Murray has question marks on whether he even wants to, stay in Arizona without a huge deal. So they still have Hopkins is going to be back off suspension after a while. So there's a lot of, and Zach Ertz is still there. So there's a lot of mouths to feed in Arizona, and it seems that the role in which Rondale Moore was drafted for doesn't really exist anymore, frankly. So it's tough to see where he's going to get the amount of targets necessary for him to be an everyday or even a part-time fantasy producer. I'm sure he'll have a blow-up game 1 or 2 times because that's just how the Cardinals offense, works. But I can't trust him to be consistent whatsoever with the type of personnel that they have there in Arizona now.
Yeah. I love it. I don't disagree with that. I did try to trade him. I didn't feel like I was getting the value that I should have gotten, but I also probably shouldn't have taken him when I did a rookie draft. So I don't want to lose the value on him. So I'm probably going to keep trying to sell him, but he's one that I have been trying to get rid of. I think also Hollywood Brown, I think very much we see this happen, especially that chemistry that is going to be there just historically from what Kyler and him have. I think that we see him play a very big role in that offense, and Rondell kind of falls to the wayside a little bit more, at least not to where his value once was. And my sell is another one that I know we've both talked about. So Rashad Penny, he had a really great end of this last season. I mean, like averaging 134 rushing yards a game, over 24 fantasy points per game. But he's only had one season since he's been drafted where he's had over 86 carries, and that was in 2018. They brought on Kenneth Walker. The Seahawks alone, yes, they're going to run the ball a lot, and that's great. But right now, if you want to get anything back for Rashad Penny, now is the time to do it. This is another, kind of, like Evan Ingram, find a team that needs a running back now, not later. Finishing RB42, going to be 26. He's never played a full season of games. Now is the time to do it after he had that really, really strong ending to the season. But I think bringing Kenneth in, I don't see him carrying that out through the whole next season.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Penny. I mean, it does hurt. I think a lot of emphasis was placed on those last couple of games last year where he really blew up, and a lot of people were hoping that he would take that to this year. And another thing is, like, the quarterback is a significant downgrade. Drew Lock is not, or Geno Smith is not scaring anybody. So, Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. That's no big secret. So teams are going to be focused a lot on stopping the run. And that's going to be a problem also for Kenneth Walker. But I think, I'd hope that Seattle wouldn't, draft Walker that high and not use him. I know that Penny was drafted higher than Walker and he wasn't used, and Carson won that job anyway, but hopefully Seattle will learn from that. Kenneth Walker was, a lot of people's, top one or two running backs coming out. And he goes into a system where Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. And I just don't think that Penny is going to get – I mean, it's impossible for him to get the kind of workload that everyone was hoping for the value that people were expecting him to be.
Yeah. It was 5 games. It was 5 games, and he has not played a full season yet. So right. I think this is another one. Like, it's not that complicated. You're not going to get the production that you want out of him through the entire season. We don't even really know what the Seahawks are going to look like. So will you get some good games out of Rashad Penny? Probably. But that's just because of the way that playbook is. But I think that if you want to return any type of value, now is to do it while people are still very high on him. Yeah.
And we're not saying like he has no value at all. I mean, don't get
right.
He doesn't. He's just not. He's not returning the value that people were expecting before the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
It's impossible for him to do that. Yeah. Right. So that's really going to win as well.
Exactly.
All right, so that'll do it for our Dynasty buys and sells for this week. I'm actually having another article expanding on this topic coming out tomorrow, so be sure to check that out. Steph, do you have anything you want to tell the people about?
No, I'll be throwing up some TikToks with more of these buy sells, and then you and I will be doing a show to react to the schedule once it gets dropped. And yeah, I mean, Daily Dozens coming out, tons of good stuff happening.
Your 32 team.
Oh yeah, my 32 team preview starting this week on Friday, and more details to come about that. I'm still admitting it.
I know. It's okay. So be sure to check out.
My voice is so bad.
It really is. It's terrible.
I'm screaming right now to get anything out.
I've done really hard not to laugh the entire show. But yeah, Steph has some great stuff lined up. We have a new game coming out, some more awesome content. Check out our Discord. That's all. We interact more closely with us there. We love answering questions or just talking to you guys.
Oh yeah, the Discord's so fun.
It is fun. Like Steph said, we'll be back later this week to break down the schedule once it gets released. So have a great day, everyone.
See ya.